What's going on? What's going on? Late night family.
Yep.
We back in the building. Coming to bring you another exciting episode of Late Night Conversations with Unc and Nephew. I am your host, King J, also known as Nephew. And to my left is my co-host,
JR, Big Unc.
What's up, Big Unc?
Come on, Nephew, what's up?
How you feeling, man?
A lot better, man.
We back in the game?
Yeah, started Monday. Back in the game.
Back in work?
Yep.
Shit.
Yep. How was work?
Man, it was all right, man. It's been crazy lately, man, just because we're getting a lot of stuff moving around and then robots are coming in faster and faster, bro. That AI, which it's funny that I bring that up because later on today there's something I want to talk about involving AI.
All right.
But before we jump into all of that, man, I got an interesting story for you this week.
All right.
So just be ready, man, because this story...
Yeah, I know you ain't said nothing to me about it,
I know we ain't
you're going to catch me completely. Y'all, it's going to be completely live right now.
It's going to be amazing, man. So let's strap in for today's episode, Unc. But, man, before we jump into today's episode, man, we just want to say thank y'all so much for all y'all, everything that y'all are doing, the following, the likes, the comments. We really do appreciate it. Just wherever you're watching your podcast at, man. We hope you enjoyed today's content. There's a lot that we put into this, it's a lot that we're we really love doing this. We love it from the bottom of our heart, so we really hope the content is enjoyable for y'all. And if y'all love the content, man, y'all go ahead and give us a follow. And wherever y'all watching your podcast at, whether that be Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, man, wherever you get your podcast from, go ahead and hit that follow button for us, man. That would really mean a lot to us.
Right.
And if you're watching on YouTube, for sure on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Punch that bell in the face so you get notified every time we drop a video. Yeah. And when is that, Unc?
Every Friday morning at 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
I get my notification.
Yes, man. Every Friday at 8 a.m. So y'all lock in with us, man. Let's go ahead and I got an exciting story for y'all tonight. It's a true crime. And so it's coming all the way from the Appalachian Mountains.
Appalachian Mountains.
If y'all know anything, if y'all ever know anything about the Appalachian Mountains, bro, you know some crazy stuff goes down in the Appalachian Mountains. Yep. So y'all strap in for today's episode. And without further ado, let's jump into today's story, man. Today's story is about a man who hid his monstrous nature behind a quiet, unassuming presence. A convicted killer who turned to the Appalachian Trail, a haven for hikers and nature lovers, into a hunting ground. Not once, but twice.
What?
This is the story.
Serial killer.
Of Randall Lee Smith.
Boy, if you don't... I don't think I've heard of him.
Dog, this is a crazy story, man. So check this out. On May 6th, 2008, best friends Scott Johnston and Sean Farmer went on a fishing trip in Dismal Creek, Virginia, on the Appalachian Trail, an area they had frequented many, many years.
Right.
Johnston went fishing alone early on May 6th and intended to meet up with Farmer in the early evening by the campsite. The Appalachian Trail was a very famous trail.
Right.
It's about a 2,200-mile stretch, and it runs up and down the east coast of the United States. And the thing about the Appalachian Trail, Unc, is there's a code that all hikers and people who live on the trail go by.
Right.
Basically, this code is if you are hiking in the Appalachian Mountains and you come across another hiker who needs help, it is your responsibility to help that hiker in whatever they need.
Well,
Fish,
I thought that was
supplies,
everybody.
food.
I thought that would be everywhere. I mean, that's just common. To me, it's common sense. But hey, I mean, not everybody thinks like that.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Like, that's like a common courtesy, right?
Right.
You would just want to help your fellow person, but everybody ain't like that. But for some reason, this is like a code of conduct that everybody who travels and hikes through the Appalachians, they kind of know that.
Right.
Now, there's another set of rules that don't pertain to this.
Okay.
And them for the Appalachian Mountains, and then we're like, if you hear something in the woods at night, you
don't go looking.
Yeah,
don't go looking.
For one, you didn't hear anything. Just and don't go looking. You know what I'm saying? If you hear a woman screaming for help, sorry.
Sorry. I don't know about that, nephew. I mean, that's a rule.
Hey,
it's not a rule, but
I mean, it's an unspoken rule.
Yeah.
But, at night, you hear somebody screaming from the woods.
Well, I lived in North Carolina for a while, so the mountains go through there. It's beautiful country, man.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
It's forest after forest after forest. Yeah, you're right. You're right, too, because I would travel, from one city to another, for the job, right?
Right.
And do it at night, because over there, they don't have street lights.
On
the highways like here in Texas.
Yeah, it's dark.
It's dark, man. dark. So I understand, but yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful country, but
that's what I'm saying.
Dark.
You know, it gets scary.
So I guess that's why they say, you know, unspoken rule is you're not gonna find them.
Either that, or you might not want to see what you find.
True.
But yeah, so that's a code of conduct, man. You just help somebody if needed. So while fishing, you know, while Johnston was fishing, man, another fisherman who went by Ricky Williams introduced himself to Johnston on his way down. Both Johnston and Farmer, you know, as the story goes on, you're going to realize that they just assumed this man was lying and he was using a fake name. They kind of got a weird vibe from this man, Ricky Williams.
Yeah, they thought he wasn't telling the truth.
Yeah, he just seemed a little bit off-putting.
Okay.
So Johnston described this man as sort of a straggly-looking man. He was just kind of gaunt, just looked weird, homeless almost, like if he'd just been living in the woods.
Yeah.
So, anyways, while the man looked to have that he was living in the woods for a couple of days, he was wearing an expensive camouflage jacket and brand new hiking boots. So Johnston added that he believed that the man might have been an alcoholic. He seemed harmless, and so the 2 days they had spent, you know, so that whole time that they met, they spent the whole day fishing together,
right?
Talking, exchanging stories,
getting to know each other. Yeah,
just kind of getting to know each other, and he noticed that he had a little dog with him. Looked a little malnourished, but, you know, he was with them. You know, they were just hanging out, fishing. Well, as the day kind of came to an end, Johnston said, hey, look, I'm coming back to the campsite. They caught a lot of trout.
Right.
They were having a good day.
So they're going to eat. So
they were overloaded with trout, man. And so he told them, hey, look, man, if you're not doing nothing, you can come back to the campsite. I got a friend waiting on me. Come enjoy dinner with us.
Right.
And so Ricky Williams, you know, he was grateful. He said, yeah, man, I'll have some dinner with y'all. And so, you know, back at the campsite, Sean Farmer built a fire and was waiting for Johnston to return. So while they were walking back to the campsite, Johnston was walking with his fishing pole over his shoulder, got his line tangled up in some trees.
Right.
So he's there kind of messing with it. And, you know, Ricky asked him, hey, you need some help? He's like, no, I'm good, man. Our campsite's just a little bit of a ways up.
Right.
Just follow through past the tree line. You know, tell my friend Mr. Farmer that I sent you, and I'll be up there in a couple minutes.
Right.
So he does that. He comes in past the tree line, and Sean Farmer kind of is expecting Johnston.
Right.
So when he turns around, he sees homeboy Mr. Williams.
Right.
And he's like, he grabs a club that he had right next to him.
He's suspicious right away.
He's kind of suspicious, like, who are you? Because, bro, you got to understand, it's nighttime, and they're kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So nobody really should be there. And so he kind of looks at him, and he's like, who are you? You know, and he's like, hey, don't worry, your friend sent me. He's, you know, I'm going to come have dinner with you guys. Well, man, while Ricky Williams was talking to him, he noticed that guy, Sean Farmer, was a big dude, bro.
Right.
He was a big old 6 foot something dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he was hefty.
From the hills, yeah.
Yeah, he was a big country boy. So, you know, he kind of was intimidated, like, man, he's got that club in his hand, what he's going to do? But a couple minutes later, Johnston walks in through the tree line and was like, hey, you know,
I was waiting to see if he's going to show up or not.
So he shows up and he's like, hey, you know, it's all good, man. You know, I invited him to dinner. And so, you know, he's saying, hey, you know, he's harmless, man. I just, you know, we've been fishing all day together.
Right.
We caught a lot of fish, and I invited him to dinner. So, you know, it's cool, man. They ate. They had a good time, man. They listened to music. They enjoyed each other's company.
Right.
So as darkness started to fall over Dismal Creek, Williams stood up and walked around to stand between Farmer and Johnston. He called for his dog to follow him. And, you know, they kind of bid their dues. They said, hey, good night. You know, thank y'all for y'all's
you had me worried there for a second. He said they stood in between both of them. I'm like, well, hold on, where are you going with this? You know, in my mind, you know.
Yeah. So he stood up and he said, hey, you know, I hope y'all have a great night. Thank y'all for y'all's time. And, you know, so him and his dog, you know, they started walking away. The next thing Sean Farmer heard was a loud boom out of nowhere. And his left ear started ringing. Turns out, when he heard that loud boom and that ringing in his ears, he kind of grabbed his ear, and then when he pulled back, there was blood pooled within his hand. So he kind of looks at Johnston, and they're both in fear, like in shock. Well, as they look into the tree line, they see Ricky Williams. He had shot him in the left side of his face with no warning. He shot, you know, and like I said,
he shot Farmer.
Ricky Williams, the guy they invited for dinner,
yeah,
shot Sean Farmer in the side of his face. You know, and like I said, Farmer was 6'4", about 325 pounds.
Right, a big guy, yeah.
He staggered, but he didn't collapse. He turned around and saw the man, again, pointed his .22 caliber, and he aimed it at Johnston, who fled toward a cluster of trees behind the tent. He took off running. So when he heard the first gunshot, Johnston started running and later said he never saw the gun. He just heard the sound. He only realized he had been shot too when he reached the trees and stopped to catch his breath. Johnston felt for the hole in his neck and plugged it with his right index finger out of his, once he kind of got out of, I guess out of pure instinct.
Right.
Out of the shock.
Yeah.
He felt it and he put his hand in his, on his neck. So Williams shot him in the chest at a range of about 10 feet. Farmer turned on a dime and ran for his car. So Williams followed him, still silent. Finally, Farmer started his Jeep and drove toward the main road. And while he was escaping, Williams, was coming and shooting at the truck. So he drove toward the main road, and where the main road was at, Johnston saw Farmer was fleeing in his car, and he took off toward the road through some trees to try to meet him. So, crashing through the underbrush while still plugging his bullet wound, he saw, unknown to him, he had also been shot in the back, while he had been plugging that wound. So, as soon as Farmer turned onto the main road, he saw Johnston burst out of the tree line, and he was standing there covered in blood. So, he stopped, and he let Johnston into the car, and the pair were 5 to 6 miles away from the nearest house and another 40 miles from the closest hospital.
Wow.
So they sped down a dangerous road with sharp turns, no guardrails, deadly drop-offs at 45 miles per hour. Their escape plan was going relatively well until Farmer began to lose sight in his right eye.
Ooh.
So at that point, Johnston steered the car while telling Farmer when to work the gas and brake pedals. And they made it to the bottom of the mountain where there were only 5 houses. At the first house with lights that were still on, Farmer put the car in park in the middle of the street and Johnston banged on the door, pleading for someone to call the authorities. So initially, the homeowner thought it was going to be a home invasion.
Right.
But Melissa Miller finally came outside, and after she recognized Farmer as her friend's ex-boyfriend, she helped Farmer out of the car and held towels to their wounds.
Okay.
The Giles County Police Department arrived quickly, and helicopters brought Farmer and Johnston to the hospital. Johnston recalled the paramedic reporting that he didn't even have a pulse at one point during the flight.
Oh, wow.
So it was a fight
Johnston
for
was
their
dead.
life, bro.
He wasn't pronounced dead, but he was.
But he
was
flatlined. Yeah, he flatlined for a little bit. So it's crazy, man. Doctors told Farmer that he was fortunate that the bullet entered his face the bullet that had entered his face had lodged into his sinus cavity, while the one in his chest entered between 2 ribs, and the muscle mass in the chest had pushed the bullet aside and away from his heart.
From the organ, okay.
So he was in recovery by 4 a.m. on May 7th. When the police interviewed him, the police told him that their attacker had fled the scene in Johnston's truck that was left behind with the keys in the ignition.
Oh, man.
So, and when the police caught up to him, he drove off an embankment in what they thought was going to be a suicide. But luckily, he lived, and the police had him in custody in the hospital.
Oh, so he was caught.
Yes, he was caught. So while this was going on, as I was doing a little bit more research, this was kind of a little bit more, my notes are a little bit more vague, but
right.
While this was going on, man, while they fled the scene, and they actually got out and survived, they fled, they were driving the truck,
Right.
Ricky Williams was camping, so he didn't have no vehicle. So when they dipped, while they were leaving, Ricky Williams jumped in Johnston's truck.
Right. So, what gets me, nephew, is he was prepared for this because he had to have the shot with the rifle or pistol, whatever it was,
on his person.
Yeah,
right?
where they didn't.
Or maybe they just thought he was. He's out there fishing and hunting. Maybe they didn't think nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy, but go ahead, nephew.
And so while all that was going on, he jumped in Johnston's truck and sped off.
Right.
Well, of course, at the time, they didn't really know who he was other than Ricky Williams. But unbeknownst to the cops, they're just treating these guys for what they told them. Man, we got shot by this guy. We don't know who he is. So they were on their way. All they know was that they had mentioned to the police Dismal Creek before he passed out.
My mind's going berserk right now.
Yeah.
But.
So all they mentioned was Dismal Creek.
Right.
So the police were like, okay, let's make our way to Dismal Creek and see if we can see anything. Well, on the way to Dismal Creek, Ricky Williams passed in that truck, speeding. So they right away turned around and started
him.
chasing him. Well, that's when he drove off that embankment and crashed the truck.
Right.
And so, like I said, they're like, man, this must be. They weren't for sure, but they were like, this must be connected to whatever just happened.
Okay, so they had no clue. Yeah,
they had no clue, but they took him into custody because he fled away from the cops and then crashed the truck. And so, this is what's crazy. They took him into custody, and after everything that happened, someone was lying.
Oh, one of the three?
Yes.
Or one of the two?
One of the three. So
See,
that night,
you're telling me about this story though. When he got in the vehicle, I'm like, was it Ricky Williams or was it somebody else? My mind's going like.
So I mentioned the name at the beginning of a podcast, and I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember that name. I know the other three, but
so check this out, man. The man that had attacked Johnston and Farmer was not Ricky Williams. That was just a name he made up.
Right.
The man that attacked him was Randall Lee Smith.
Oh, well, you said this is a story of Randall Lee Smith. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure at some point you're like, what does that have to do with Ricky Williams, Sean Farmer, and Johnston?
My whole deal was I wasn't. For some reason, I didn't click with Randall Lee Williams. You know, Smith.
So this man had lied to him. His name wasn't Ricky Williams. It was Randall Lee Smith. And when they found out who this man was, it was a big breakthrough because this is somebody they've been looking for. Let me tell you why. In 1981, Randall Lee Smith had killed 2 hikers in the same area, earning him the moniker of the Appalachian Trail Killer. Smith pled guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder in 1981 for killing Laura Susan Ramsey and Robert Mountford Jr. by shooting, bludgeoning, and stabbing them before burying them in their sleeping bags. He was paroled in 1996.
Hold on, this was... Oh, okay. So This was 2008.
So let's get back to 1981. Giles County, Virginia, the trail here winds through the Blue Ridge Mountains, dense with trees and silence. It's a place where 2 young social workers, Robert Mountford Jr. and Laura Susan Ramsey, were hiking doing outreach work with troubled youth.
Right.
They were experienced, thoughtful, and by all accounts, kind people, but they never made it home. He murdered both of them. Robert and Laura were murdered, shot, and stabbed just off the trail near a shelter, and the killer was 28-year-old Randall Lee Smith. He was a local loner, lived with his mother, quiet, the kind of guy you'd pass on the street and kind of forget about 5 minutes later. Right. He just didn't look nothing too crazy. But Smith was hiding something very violent. So he was arrested not long after the murders, and in 1982 he pled guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison, but get this, he only served 15.
Why, just half?
15 years, bro, for 2 lives taken. In 1996, Randall Lee Smith walked out of prison free, quietly, no public outrage, no parole board interviews on TV.
So nobody,
just gone from the headlines.
Wow.
So nobody even knew where he was.
Nobody questioned it, nothing.
And people probably didn't even know he got out.
Right.
So all that was like that until 2008. When this attempted murder of these 2 guys in the Appalachian Mountains happened, people had forgotten about this guy. When the GCPD searched the area, they found a bunch of items belonging to Smith. So once they started doing a little bit more searching, they found his campsite.
Okay.
It was an astounding amount of items. Some meaningful, some weird, and some real chilling evidence and stuff. So they found his GED certificate obtained in prison and his birth certificate.
Sorry, dog. I couldn't help it, dude. I couldn't help it. I don't know which way to turn.
So they found his GED certificate obtained in prison.
Right.
And his birth certificate. They also found in his tent there was a collection of 30 knives. They also found a copy of law enforcement radio 10 codes and a police scanner. Dang. So he also had a plastic molded contour map of the area of the Appalachians.
Right.
Several places were marked in pencil, and one of them was circled. It was Dismal Creek. They could not explain some of the stuff because, check this out, they found a cassette tape that contained what the GCPD referred to as some type of satanic ritual.
A ritual.
It was him on tape chanting and making these weird animal howls and screams and stuff. It was just weird. It was like a satanic ritual he was performing. And finally, they recovered several eyeglasses, clothes of various styles and sizes, and specifically 8 pairs of women's underwear. And
I was going to tell you, don't tell me they found people's clothing and IDs and stuff like that. That's what I was thinking, man, because I'm like, this dude's probably been killing and people just don't realize that it's all connected. Yeah.
So they ran DNA tests on his clothes, underwears, and knives came up with nothing. They also searched the areas marked on Smith's map and could not locate anything suspicious or, weird, out of the ordinary. So 4 days after his arrest, Smith died in jail of natural causes.
How old was he? He wasn't that old.
Which put a viable end to the case. Johnson attributes Smith's death at 54 years old to karma, is what Johnston attributed to. But I mean, is that really karma though? Like, he kind of
he died. He probably died in his sleep. He didn't suffer for none of the.
He was 54.
Yeah, he didn't suffer for none of the murders he committed.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 years for 2 murders and what we know of. 2 attempted.
Yeah, when all these clothes are just piled up for no reason.
I got to go back. What was the lie?
The lie was who he was. He told them he was Ricky Williams.
Right.
Nice little farm, just out here with my dog. Probably wasn't even his dog.
Okay, so that was a big lie.
He was showing up to see who
everything
he could
find. That's why I was circling. He goes, the next people that are here is mine.
He's probably plotting. That's what they never, of course, because he died, they can't get no more information out of it.
Right.
But, what makes this story haunting isn't just the violence. It's how close Smith came to killing again.
Right.
How he blended in, how he was easily let out, and how after decades of silence, he returned to the same woods to try again.
To do again, right.
Smith's crimes left scars on the Appalachian Trail, both physical and psychological. For hikers, it's a story of caution. For families of victims, it's a reminder that justice doesn't always last.
Right.
If you're walking that trail someday and the woods feel too quiet, you might remember this story. Not all who wander are lost, but some who wander are hunting.
Hey, this reminds me of a story that I saw. I think they have one on right now, either on Netflix or Max, one of those, the women of Interstate 20.
Oh, really?
This sounds almost exactly like this, Max.
For real?
Yeah. Can't remember the guy's name, Brunswick or something like that.
Really? And it's kind of like a similar.
He killed the first one, I believe it was 1979. And then he went to I think 85, 86, and I think he did another one in 90.
Okay. So he was he was killing
what was the first lady's name? She was a famous runner, not a famous runner, but she ran. She was popular. She ran marathons and stuff.
Okay.
Casey, can't think of the girl's name, and she was murdered in 79. Well, 2 years later, friends, they couldn't find nothing. Right, friends ended up putting up $1,000 reward. Yeah. And out of the blue, this guy shows up with running. She was one of the very first Nike female runners. Well, hold on. She was one of the first females at Nike when Nike started.
Sponsored?
Not sponsored, but Nike started doing women's running shoes.
Right.
She was the very first recipient.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So these shoes were the blue and gold. The blue and gold. So 2 years later, this dude shows up, and he's like, I found some clothes. I was out there hunting, and the dude was like, we don't usually hunt rabbit, this time or whatever.
Right.
So he's kind of playing it off, and then he ends up telling the lady, I was one of the last ones to see Katie something.
Whatever her name was, yeah.
And so they're like, they called the police quick, man, and of course they couldn't prove nothing,
Right.
They did find her bones, and then 15-year-old, 13-year-old was
wow, man,
killed in 85, I believe.
Yeah, so he killed over a multiple span of years.
3 decades.
Damn, man.
Dude. So that's what reminds me of this guy, with the trail alone, because I guess when you get comfortable in an area that
right.
Like this guy that Brunswick, I think was his last name. He knew, the whole area. This was in somewhere in that area too, man, where it was Interstate 20, Indianapolis. I don't know, somewhere
Right.
But I guess if you know something so good, so well, that you can hide it. I mean, I'm not a serial killer or nothing like that, but I mean,
we hope not.
I used to know Hale County, when I was a kid, growing up in high school.
Yeah, you kind of know
we ran the streets, man. We ran the back roads, so we knew everything, all the way to different parts of the county and stuff. So we knew, not that I killed anybody,
That's suspicious. That's weird.
I mean, there is 8 unsolved murders, but don't look at me, man. Don't look at me.
I ain't gonna lie. The more you say that, the more I'm like,
A lot of them were a lot of the murders were in the 70s, dog. Which I was a kid. I wasn't an adult, but so
yeah.
That's how some of these guys, man, can play it off so well because, I mean, they're so, I don't want to say so smart.
But like you've said it before in the podcast, you got to have some level of mental genius in you to be a serial killer to a certain degree because to hide it for so long, to be strategic, to be, like they always say most serial killers are very charming men. Like they seem friendly, they seem cool.
Yeah, look at the guy from California. What was his name? The one that in the 70s from California.
Ted Bundy?
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
This guy charmed his women. These ladies loved him,
Yeah, even in court when he was going to trial.
Man.
He was getting fan letters. I think he got married. Didn't he get married?
Yeah, in jail,
In jail. See, that's what I'm saying, dog.
Right,
And that's the thing. For me, this case is super interesting because like at the end of my little segment that I gave, my little spiel.
Your closing,
my closing statement to the story. The time frame, this man murdered 15 years ago.
Right.
And then he went to prison for 15 years. Now, getting 30 years for murdering 2 people, crazy to me.
Right.
Now, you should be going to prison for life.
I mean, things have changed.
Well, yeah, of course. But what I'm like I said, times may have been different.
That's why we say, right now, you murder 2 people, you're either, if you're in Texas, you're getting the death penalty, depending on who they were, or you're getting a life without parole.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Back in the day, you'd get 30 years or 15 years for and then get paroled, with good behavior.
That's crazy, right? Like, that's wild. Yeah. Maybe that was normal back then, but that's wild, dog.
That's beyond normal to me.
And so, you would think after 15 years in prison, that this man could have done without killing? Like, what would make him get out of prison and try it again?
I was just going to tell you that. So this man's in prison for 15 years for a murder that he committed, knowing he committed, saying, now how can I do it again and not get caught?
That's wild, though, dog. 15 years? You waited 15 years.
I've been out of work for 8 weeks, man, with this knee that I had. And my mind goes berserk sometimes, man, because I'm either watching, Yellowstone or Queen of the South, whatever I'm watching, man.
Right.
Or whatever I'm TikToking, and your mind just starts working. Can you imagine in a 4x8 cell by yourself with no TV, no nothing for 15 years, 1 hour daylight? I don't know what
along his mind was like, I can't wait to get back and do it again.
I can do it again, or
that's crazy.
How's he just thinking? 15 years. When I get out, here's my plan.
I'm gonna go back.
And his plan is, if you think about something so long and work on it so long, and you have nobody to interact with, you're talking to yourself.
Right.
So I'm not saying his plan didn't go his way. Well, I'm saying these guys were big guys where they could take them bullets. If he'd have used a 38 or a 45, these guys probably wouldn't have survived. But a 22 caliber, you and I could probably take a 22 caliber to the chest.
Yeah, just kind of where you get shot at. Yeah. Like you said, it went through 2 ribs. A muscle mass kind of pushed it out the way. So it's not a high caliber
maybe
round.
That was his mistake. I'm not a serial killer. But maybe that was his mistake. If using it's like they said, don't shoot a large caliber man with a small caliber weapon.
Right, exactly.
So
I think what it is, Unc, is that maybe, like you said, maybe after 15 years, the only thing on his mind was that Which that in itself blows my mind.
Right.
He's just like, man, I just want to go back and try it again.
Right.
And that to me, it shows the true insaneness of a serial killer.
Of the mind, yeah.
Of the mind.
Because there's some serial killers that aren't killing monthly or bi-monthly, or
right.
They're waiting years and years, because
for the right time, like the right,
they kill and they have this urge and then they're done, and then
when that urge
I'm not
comes
saying
back,
they're thinking about it, but the urge will come.
Because I've heard
I'm going to use the word pedophile, not considered as a serial killer, but pedophiles are more. I want it now, all the time. I mean,
it's
that's
like
what you see.
Like a quick fix type deal. Okay,
where
so
these guys have you kill somebody, I'm like, man, I'm relieved. I don't want to do this again until 5 years later. Then your mind's like, hey, it's time
and you know
to
what?
kill
I've heard that from other serial killers. The more and more I've dove into true crime stories and stuff, I've heard that before. That some serial killers get a fix, and then they're good for a while, and then the urge comes back to kill, and then that's when they commit another murder.
Look at Dahmer.
But it's like, dog, that's crazy though.
Dahmer couldn't stop.
Isn't it wild how the serial killer's mind works? I mean, that man was locked up for 15 years. He could have moved on with his life.
He could have. Yeah, I mean, sometimes like I said, his mind was how can I do this today and not get caught? Not saying that's what happened. Yeah. But
he's just like,
maybe if he had been thinking, when I get out, I want to better my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'd be like, I don't want to be in this 4x8 cell no more, the rest of my life.
Exactly.
So, hey, how can I do better? But maybe his mind was...
Maybe it was just like, dude, but that's just wild, dog. 15, you know how long 15 years is?
Bro, I
that's
know.
A long time, dog, to be... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You by that time you should be good. Like, man, your life has changed now.
Yeah, you're 20. Like right now, if you was to go to prison for 15 years right now, 2025 to 2040, you know how much technology is going to change? Some of these guys that went to prison in the 80s and got out in the late 2000s, now,
don't know how to use cell phones.
They don't know anything because in prison you're not given these opportunities.
Exactly.
So can you imagine in 15 years from today what technology is going to be in 2040?
Dude, that's crazy that you say that, because that leads me into our next segment of what I want to talk about. That is wild that you say that. To close off this story, I will say, though, that it does suck that he died and didn't get to get prosecuted for the attempted or whatever. Yeah. Now, we don't know if he murdered all those clothes they found.
Like on Yellowstone. I don't know, mister, you must be a bad man. But... karma comes in all types and sizes. And today it's me. Karma got him.
Maybe, but I can't even.
Is that really karma? Like you said, is that really karma? Because
karma.
But dying at 54 to me, it's an early death.
Yeah, that is. I think 54 is very early to die.
I'm 59, 58. We'll be 58. Damn. I'll be 58, 59 this year.
Yeah.
And I think I'm still too young to die.
You still got a lot of living, bro.
My dad's 79, so...
And he's still moving like a champ, bro.
Yeah, like he's got another 10 years left, easy.
That's what I'm saying, Unc. It's like,
So
maybe
karma did take him. I don't know, maybe not, but...
hey, maybe we could look at that and maybe he died and went to a horrible place. And maybe that's the karma. Now he has to suffer. Man. But nobody knows.
Yeah, now you got me with another statement I want to talk about. But I'll let you talk about what you want to talk about because this one's... If I could remember how it goes, this is crazy.
But yes, man. So this was a good story, young guy. I thought it was an interesting, man. The way I kind of phrased it was like... It kind of throws you off, like, well, who does that have to do at the beginning of the story? And then you realize, this guy is him.
I forgot about that name when you started bringing the other three, and I'm like, and when you said they were sketches, that should have been my turn to say, well, there's two names, but it didn't click on me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a good story though, man. But man, what you said a while ago leads me into what I want to talk about next, and it's because for one, it's crazy, but it's also hilarious. So I don't know if you've been on. I know you've been on TikTok lately and stuff, but have you been seeing? You mentioned about how far technology is going to be. Have you been seeing the new AI videos, those Google VO 3s and stuff, like AI videos where like, can you believe we're prompts? Like they're like
no, I mean I've seen
they're like AI videos and it's like change the prompt. We're not. There's like a video of a girl protesting. They're like we aren't your prompts. Like, and it's like AI videos. But what I'm saying is it's crazy because people are starting to make videos in real life. Like, can you believe with prompts? But it's real videos,
right?
But what they're making fun of the AI,
yeah.
But the problem is people are having a hard time distinguishing which one is which. Because AI is starting to get so advanced,
dude,
that now we're having a hard time determining what is what. Because before, AI used to make mistakes,
right?
Like extra fingers on hands or labels in the back would be kind of scribbled out.
What is that called? Self-awareness,
They're evolving,
right?
It's evolving fast. Because years ago, when AI was first being introduced, there was a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it was terrible.
Was it? Well, I mean, of course. I mean,
and now
technology advances,
bro,
and like I said, self-awareness on these computers, these phones, they're being able to restructure themselves.
Dude, it's wild, and it's like they're becoming aware that they're prompts. Well, that's not good.
No, dude, because then is TikTok going to be real or AI?
Because people
in the next 10
they're
years,
not being able to tell no more, dog. Right. That's what's scary.
Yeah.
What's scary is that you could watch a video and not tell if it's AI or not, and that's what's kind of scary, bro.
Right.
But another thing. But on a lighter note, AI is getting dangerous. But on a lighter note, I just saw something in China. Hilarious.
Dude, I mean,
hilarious.
The Red Note, or what is it called? Red Note?
No, I haven't got on that.
No?
I haven't got back on. I'm not going to lie. No, I saw this on TikTok and it is hilarious. Have you ever seen the movie True Steel? Where they're fighting robots?
Yeah, the robots, yeah.
Dog, they did that yesterday in China.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, wait, what is today's day?
So the robot is
3 days
connected
ago.
To
they
to
got
man.
punching, bro, it's a full robot body.
Right. But the man is fighting, right?
It's AI.
Oh, my. Oh, it's AI.
I think it's AI.
The video's AI.
No, it's a real video, dog. It's not AI.
No, I should have saved that.
I'm going to show it to you. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it in the podcast right here. I'm going to see if I can pull it up.
Okay. I've been watching a lot of crazy stuff, man. My algorithm is going berserk, dog. I don't know what to put up on my TikTok anymore, dog. And you ever heard this? In life, you only got 2 things to worry about.
What?
Whether you're healthy or you're sick. If you're healthy, you got nothing to worry about. If you're sick, you only got 2 things to worry about. You're going to get better or you're going to die.
Damn.
If you get better, you ain't got nothing to worry about. If you die, you only got 2 things to worry about. You're going to go to heaven or you're going to go to hell. You go to heaven, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You go to hell, got 2 things to worry about. Original or that's crispy?
What the hell? I ain't never heard that one before.
Dude. I think I missed a segment, but it's like that. I mean, in life, you only got 2 things to worry about. Whether you're healthy or you're sick. If you're healthy, you got nothing to worry about.
That's crazy. I've never heard that before, dog.
And they even got a referee in it. Dude, this gotta be a dog. Look. They don't even know where they're going now. You know? Look, dog. Boy, man.
Hey, what? Dog, hold on.
That reminds me of their legs just falling off, dog. Wow.
Oh.
Man, that is insane, dude. That's
so
insane.
Like, on one hand, technology is evolving with that AI stuff, but man, they training robots to fight now. They need to stop,
well,
dog.
They ain't fighting, but yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Watching that video, I know I could whoop a robot now.
Yeah, like that one. Like that one.
I can whoop a robot now.
Because they were like not aware of where they were fighting. They were just throwing and kicking, you know?
That's so clumsy.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I wanted to show you that because I didn't know if you've seen that before. I thought that
hadn't seen it, man.
Hilarious, bro. Hilarious, man.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. Man.
But yeah, man, shoot.
That was a good story, nephew. I said, that story is could be replayed in any mountain area, or I would think, like I said, it reminded me of
the one you were talking about.
I think Lost Women of I-20 or something like that, Interstate 20. Same thing.
It just brings me back to them stories, man, of like how scary the forest is, bro. Like,
oh yeah,
you never know what's lurking in there,
because
man.
I mean, especially in something that's so thick like that,
Yeah.
And then if you're not from the area, and you're like me when I moved to North Carolina, brah, I'm from Plainview. Ain't nothing here. We lucky we got a tree in the front yard.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when I go up there, man, and there's thousands and thousands of trees in a quarter acre, and you have to maneuver, to get to. I've seen bears. I've seen fox.
Right.
It's just so many things out there. But the scary part was driving that nighttime. You get, you run out of gas, or you have a wreck, or for me to walk into a mountain, into the forest by myself, could possibly happen if I had to. But if I had my family, I couldn't, because I could not risk taking my family. I'd have to stay on the side of the road. But just to go out, I'm not a hiker, dude. I mean,
yeah.
Because there's not a lot of places to go hiking here.
Yeah, we don't hike over here.
Yeah, we don't go camping. Yeah, you can go camping at a little one of our small lakes, Lake Meredith or whatever.
But true camping in the wilderness.
True camping in the wilderness, where
you're exposed to actual
Yellowstone style. You know what I'm saying?
Like actual things, dog.
Yeah.
Like bears can come out.
Yeah.
Like mountain
Sasquatch,
lions. Or Sasquatch, dog. You don't know, man.
So that Sasquatch and abominable.
I'm gonna make you a T-shirt that says "Abdominable Snowman."
So I think what is that? Jack Links come out with with the jerky, which is a double combination beef and chicken or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and it's the abominable and Sasquatch playing in the snow together, walking the mountains.
Dog, I laugh every time you say that, bro. I swear to God.
Abominable.
But yeah, man, I mean, you don't know what's lurking out there, bro, like in the real wilderness. But and I will say this, I think for me, that's why I don't go camping, dog.
Yeah.
Because, man, imagine you in a forest.
Right.
In a tent, and you hear footsteps around your tent, or...
What can you do? I mean, if you're not... we're going to take a gun, but who's going to shoot?
But what if it's... Yeah. What if you're shooting at something that ain't even there?
Right. Or take a small caliber bullet
and try to shoot
a big caliber bear, you know what I'm saying? Bear's just going to look at you, but... No, but yeah, you're right, man. But this story does remind me of a lot of the serial killer stories that are out there right now. Like I said, I know serial killers aren't as popular. I don't want to say popular, as abundant as they were back in the 70s and 80s because of the technology.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, what is not for a serial killer to be like on a trail, like on a highway? That's just
and literally they're hunting.
Yeah,
they're hunting.
That's what they're doing.
You know what I mean?
Such as the Lost Women of Alaska. I can't remember the name of it. Which is a true story of all the indigenous women that have been murdered in Alaska, which is pretty crazy, man.
Man, that's crazy, bro. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it's wild, man. There's a lot of. That's why true crime is. There's a lot of cases.
There's so many cases. You know what I mean? I told you earlier, about.
The one you were talking about.
What was her name? I told you. I just. Leslie Palacio, man, that happened in Las Vegas in 2000.
See, and that's why I think this is a good topic in podcasting, because, or even in this whole area, even if it's not podcasting, whether it's YouTube videos, whatever, it's an endless supply, man, because crime happens every day.
A lot of them I see off of TikTok where, some of these people just talk about, quick, 4 minute, hey, this is what happened to, let's say Leslie Palacio.
Right.
So... But
exactly, man.
Yeah, but this was a good story, nephew. It really
man,
was.
I appreciate that, I do have. Before we go, we're at a good stopping point, Before we go, I want to do something we haven't done in a while.
Okay, what we're gonna do?
I got a good little segment for you for things that piss me off.
Yeah, we ain't done that one in a while. But you know nothing pisses me off, dog. I'm just a chill guy.
Just a chill guy. So I got a good story for you today, man. Well, not a good story, but a good.
Don't tell me you was at Whataburger.
Yeah, it's a drive-through. Nah, it wasn't Whataburger. Well, I want to say.
I'm gonna put it out there.
They're
but
brand new. You know, I don't want to hurt.
The only reason I say Whataburger people is because we just got one in Plainview. You know.
Yeah, we just got a Whataburger for the first time.
What, last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, and I've been there every day. But no, man, you know what pisses me off? I'm gonna be honest. Another drive-through edition.
Okay. Well, drive-throughs are.
Let me ask y'all a question. I used to work for a fast food place, and I'm talking to y'all. Anybody who works in fast food, dog, I got a question. How hard is it really to read a menu and put stuff in the bag and give me what I like my correct order?
Right.
How hard is that? In all honesty, I mean, is it hard for real and I just don't know about it? Because when I worked, I was a cook, so I didn't work the front.
Well, see, I worked the front. I worked. It's not hard. It's just these people don't.
I'm paying attention, right?
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. I should not go through the drive-thru, and this is what pisses me off, man. I hate when I wait in line for a long time.
20 minutes, 30 minutes.
30 minutes. And then I get to the window, and then I drive off, and I open my bag, and you forgot to put fries in there.
Man.
Or you forgot, dog, I ordered an apple pie the other day.
See, your dessert, yeah, that's murder right there. Because, I mean, I don't care. Sometimes.
If I gotta spin the block for this apple pie, I will.
If they leave the onion on there because you asked for no onion, that's understandable.
That's not a big deal. I can scrape the onion off.
They forget your pie, your dessert.
You forgot my dessert, brother?
That's the highlight of the fucking
and
drive,
I paid $1.89 for it. And I was looking forward to that apple pie, cuz. And you forgot it?
Yeah.
Where is it? Is it on the counter? Yeah. What did you do with it?
Did not grab it? Nothing,
Yeah. What? How hard is it?
Yeah.
It's on the screen, right? Apple pie with his order. Oh, apple pie. Do you not check the bag before you give
Buffalo
it to me?
sauce and barbecue sauce. And then you get one of each, or maybe not.
How about I don't get nothing? Yeah. I get home and I open my stuff and no sauce.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn! God damn! What? Fuck!
Yup.
Why?
Yup.
Why is that so hard? Please tell me. Write in the comments. Why is it so hard for that?
There's only one place that I know that rarely messes your order up.
Where?
TB.
Yeah.
Rarely.
I'm not gonna lie. Taco Bell is always.
They give you a handful.
Oh yeah, it's like they open the box.
You want some sauce with that? Yeah, I get some hot or spicy or whatever.
But
man, you get some sauce.
What kind of sauce would you like? I'll take some mild sauce. Okay.
Yeah.
Deuce.
Yeah,
it'd be always a good amount.
Taco Bell is one of the best.
Then I keep my sauce drawer stocked to that other mild sauce. But yeah, McDonald's, come on, man, get your act together. I don't know whose fault it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. I'm gonna just blow them all up. You know what I'm saying? But
Whataburger, you're too new to be forgetting apple pie. Yeah. God damn it,
or your cookie. Don't forget my cookie, man.
You forgot my cookie.
Man, that warm cookie.
And then sometimes I get it. It's my fault. I should have checked, which I did the other night. They forgot my fries.
Don't need the drive-through until you look.
I spun the block. I said, "Hey, brother,
like Whataburger's too new. You spin the block again, you're gonna be waiting 34 more minutes."
Nah, for real. See, that's what I'm saying. And then I couldn't get off because I didn't have no good clothes on. My shirt was too small. Because I'm relaxing at the house.
Yeah. The other day I drove like that too. I'm like, dude,
I got on 2 different slides.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought of that too. Man, if I get pulled over right now, I go to jail.
You homeless and driving at the same time. Yeah, like earlier I had a stain on my shirt. I'll go. If I don't have to get off, I'll go like that.
I'll go through a drive-through. Oh, man, I got something else to say. Dog, speaking of that, so the other day, me and my wife, right? Bro, completely, I was just chilling, and we're going to go to Chick-fil-A, right? Because we got Chick-fil-A too in our city now.
That's about 2 months or a month and a half old.
So, dog, I'm excited, right? I'm like, man, I'm going to go get me a little...
chicken sandwich?
I was going to give me a little box of nuggets.
Oh, okay.
So, we're only going there and coming back home. And I'm relaxing. I'm not doing nothing. I didn't even... So, I thought my shoes were by the garage door. They weren't. No big deal.
So you went barefooted?
Barefooted. No socks, brother.
That's the way.
I'm really in the trenches, dog. No socks.
Yeah, no socks. That's even worse.
I'm like that one episode of SpongeBob where he pushed his big toe on the thing. I'm driving
not
barefooted,
watching you,
but I'm like, I'm in the drive-through. I'm not
Right.
getting off
Yeah.
nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so I get to the drive-through. Tell me why the man comes up. You know they come with the little tablet.
Yeah.
You know, hey, welcome to Chick-fil-A. Can I get a name for the order? No, this man did like
My
this.
pleasure.
He did like this in my car. On my window.
He said
dog.
on your window, dog?
At my window, and he looked down at my feet. Oh, what are you doing? Why you had to get that close to me?
Exactly. I mean,
The one time I don't wear
understand, y'all,
shoes.
it's their pleasure to be working there, but you ain't got to be that comfortable.
Don't get in my car.
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing, man? Get off of me, man.
What up, nephew? Yeah.
He was
man,
in.
you ain't wearing no shoes.
He looked at me like, brother, you know you ain't got shoes on, right? Man, leave me alone, man. Goddamn.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a quick
I
trip.
always wear at least my slides, dog. I don't think I've driven barefooted, even though I like to be barefooted, you know. I have a homeboy of mine that, even at home, he don't take his socks off.
I mean, sometimes I'm barefoot at the house.
Dude,
But I
I'm
like to wear
barefooted
socks because my feet get
24/7.
cold, man.
You know I don't even like to wear socks when I'm wearing my tennis shoes.
Yeah, you a savage. You are unlike anybody I've ever seen.
I've been since I was a kid, dog. Socks I just don't like them. But I mean, I wear them.
He's like, I don't like wearing those feet containers.
Right.
I like my feet to be freed.
Free
Man.
balling.
But man, we had a good stopping point. Huh?
Yeah,
Is there anything you want to say before we jet out?
Same thing, man. Appreciate everybody, man.
Facts.
Big On goes back to work next week, and we're gonna have a lot more good content coming up,
Oh,
man.
yeah, man.
As
Sure.
you heard us talking about a lot of things that, and right before we shot this, we talked about a lot of things.
Yeah,
So
man.
be prepared. I mean,
Big plans.
It's just we've got plans. It's just in God's time. You know what I'm saying? We can't.
Yeah, we try to
not gonna
rush stuff.
rush,
It ain't
yeah.
gonna come out the way we want
Right.
it. So
Right.
you know, it's gonna take time, man. But man,
Yeah,
we
but
thank y'all
very
man.
much. Yeah.
For real,
Yeah,
for
appreciate
real.
everything.
We appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for sticking around with us.
Yeah.
We hope y'all enjoyed today's episode, man. If y'all did, like I said, man, give us a follow, give us a like, man. Let us know y'all are watching with us. Thank y'all for joining the Late Night family. If y'all subscribe, man, we really do appreciate it.
Exactly.
And, man, thank y'all for watching another exciting episode of Late Night Conversations with Uncle Nephew, man. Until next week,
Peace.
peace.